Hello, hello, everybody out there in YouTube and hopefully BitChute land. I'm crossing fingers. This is Smoking in G Sharp. I'm coming in on my Doors and Corners channel with a pre-recorded about the Cali West Coast Killers. And I'm going to start it off with Rodney Alcala. He was the dating game killer. As you can see, he was on the dating game and he won. The Bachelorette had picked him. And it was said, though, afterward, when she met him backstage and they were talking about their date, because they always provide them with a date to go on, she declined. She said he was too creepy. Talk about instincts, girl. Go. You got it going on. Dang. That is something, isn't it? Very handsome guy. And what also was trippy about him, here's a little blurb about him. He committed murders between 77 and 79. He has life sentences. He committed them in New York, Wyoming now. That's the new one that came up. They tied him to yet another murder. Let's see. He was from Texas. I'm just going to do a real snapshot on these guys. And yeah, he moved to New York. And yeah, he was, oh yeah, I think it was his first murder. He killed a flight attendant that he murdered in her Manhattan apartment in 71. And then he later moved to California. What is it with California? I mean, it's like a serial killer magnet. I swear, it's really trippy. But yeah, he committed a series of murders there in California. And then, let's see, oh, that's the next guy. And then later in the 80s, they tied him to a girl out of Texas. She was found, or her body was in Wyoming, and he was tried again. Interesting. I'm curious why he didn't just hand that up. He was already in jail for everything else. He could have used it to his advantage, like, hey, I'll show you where the body is buried. If you fly me to Wyoming just to get out. I don't know, just saying. That's what a lot of them do now. They make deals. They hand over a body at a time when they're ready to get out of prison for a day or two. Is it sad? Isn't that sad? But true. And then the next guy, Ricardo Lavia Monzo Remez. This guy is the Night Stalker. And this type of serial killer is your worst nightmare. He has no rhyme or reason. One time he'll just burglarize a home. Next time he'll rape the woman. Next time he'll kill the couple. And sometimes he'll use a gun. Other times he'll use a tire iron. Next time he strangles them. It is really bizarre. This guy, that's why they couldn't figure him out for the longest time, because his motive and operandi was just all over the road. And I later heard, let me take a sip of tea on this one, because the Night Stalker's carnage, trail of killing and such were so just, cray-cray. One detective who was writing a book about him suspected that there were more than just Ramirez here, that there might have been one or two more guys in kind of like a night stalking gang, because there were times when he would commit crimes twice in one night. He'd murder, I believe, one woman, and then he'd go 3-5 blocks down and burglarize another home or something. It was just really crazy. And so they suspected there might have been another guy. They don't talk about it because they could never tie anything into the other guy. He never gave anyone up. But he had, what they said is a rather normal childhood. Here again, it wasn't like he came out of the pits of hell in a family like some of these people do. Yeah, see, he pistol whipped and strangled, but he was known also to stab them. He liked to degrade them. Yeah, he's just your worst nightmare. And because the targets, the victims, were just picked randomly. He said he'd just say, "Oh, I'm going to go over to this neighborhood tonight," and he would walk through it, and he'd witness through peeping tom antics to see if people were home. If it was a woman, he'd look around to see if her windows were open, because he'd always do this, mostly in the heat of the night of summers. So yeah, it's they link him to 14 people in the 84-85 area. Yeah, the walk-in killer. He'd find open doors or windows, because back then, believe it or not, even in the 80s, there were a lot of people who just leave things up and open and not think twice about it. Yeah, he was a trippy guy. And then the next one are, well, this one is just talking about him. Let me see if it goes up. He and his cousin, not by blood though, he was, what do you call it? Adopted in a sense, foster child. Yeah, he and his cousin Angelo went on a killing spree, raping and murdering 10 victims. And they would post them on the sides of the foothills outside of Los Angeles, in the sometimes very nice districts. And they were called the Hillside Strangler at first, because they thought it was one guy, and then it turned to the plural stranglers. But yeah, how he got caught was he soon left and went up to Washington State, and he committed 2 more murders, and they figured out through something he did, where witnesses actually too. I think there was a witness that could link him to that area. Anyway, they caught him. He was a trippy guy when they were interviewing him. At first, he was trying to pull off that he was, what do you call it, multiple personality, that his other guy, Steve or something, why is it always Steve? Oh, anyway, that's funny. Was telling him, I'm going to do this, and then he wouldn't even remember that he did these things. It was really a poor acting job. If you ever look him up, look up that interview they did on him. It was, So after I think about 48 hours, he finally gave up that. They were saying, no, we're not buying it. You're just at this point entertaining the office. And then he gave in. And I believe he did give up his cousin, but they already had Angelo in sights with one of the Los Angeles murders. They connected one of the girls to him because he did her upholstery. He was an upholsterer, and he did her car. And so they were already looking into him. And then when they realized they were indirectly related, they knew each other from kids, let's put it that way, they put it all together quickly. Yeah. Killed it also, let's not forget, he also killed in New York many years before. So he was on his way. And he came where? To California. Same. Oh, and here's the grand prize that we've seen the last few years in the news. Joseph DeAngelo. He is the Golden State Killer. This guy has had them on the run looking for him since, oh my gosh, it's going to say here really soon. I think he started, was it the late 70s? I think so. Okay, yeah. I think, yeah, it says crimes began in 1974. A lot of these places were on the outskirts of Sacramento, a lot of these little towns that he started in. And he was briefly a police officer in that little town. But yeah, I don't know what he did for his day gig cover. I can't remember. But definitely, he was into burglaries as well as killing people. And here again, it was very ziggy zaggy. You know, one time he would just break into a house, next time he'd do some severe shit. You know what I'm saying? And I used that word. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so he started out as the East Area rapist, but they soon realized as he drove down to Southern California. Let's see if it says anymore here. Doop doop doo. See, 3 years. Da, da, da. He lived in Citrus Heights. That's right by Sacramento. That's where he was targeting a lot of them. But then he did. Oh, I was going to say, and the pictures that they got of him were so close. However, his face is just like the guy that works at the hardware store, you know, the guy that's the mechanic at your, yeah, you know, at the Ford store thing down the street. It's just like he was so blendy inny, they just couldn't see it right in front of him. But yeah, then he committed his homicides in Southern California. He was good at not leaving proof, but like they say at the time, nobody knew anything about DNA, and his DNA was over considerable. Nah, that likeness wasn't so close to him. But yeah, that's what got him in the end. Back in the day, nobody even knew what DNA was. You know, what's that? You know, a new space program? I mean, nobody had a clue. So his DNA was over a lot of the girls' bodies. They saved everything and they got it. So basically, let's say from the mid 70s, because, okay, let's go back. His first victim, it said in 1974, but here again, I heard from others, they do believe he was definitely committing burglaries around Sacramento and the surrounding suburbs. But he could very well have committed a murder here and there that they just never tied him to. So it could have been earlier, but let's just say from the mid 70s to when was it, 2001 or 2001 is when they really got him. Um, they had to put things together though, and they knew where he was exactly and they were watching him, so he wasn't going to go anywhere. But yeah, I think he was even shocked because he had gotten away with it for so long. And he kept going throughout the decades. And they are certain that there's probably things they're just not tying him to. Because in the end, that's what he probably was living on. I think he just was probably security or something in his day, you know, cover jobs. But yeah, he even looked shocked there. Like, I can't believe I'm sitting here and I'm getting committed with everything I did. Yeah, it is a shocker. And then the next one is Ed Kemper, Mindhunter. They did an excellent job of Ed Kemper. If there is those Golden Globe Awards or whatever they hand out, this actor should have gotten it because it was just perfect. It's a great series to watch if you can watch it. I think it's on Netflix. They have deals. Sometimes you can, you know, rent a series for like $4.99. I highly recommend this if you're into serial killers. This show goes really deep with real reenactments of serial killers. Pretty darn good. But anyway, Ed Kemper, yeah, he was the co-ed killer. This guy is trippy and puts a lot of questions forth for me. He's super tall, as you can tell, very tall guy, and an IQ of 136. That's pretty darn good. You know, he's very smart. He was raised by a super strict, weird mother, and that's what they think twisted him. But what my question is why, if he killed his grandparents when he was 15, okay, did they let him out? But they did. after like 5.5 years or something in a juvenile mental rehabilitation center. Are you kidding me? But they did. They let him out. His mom took charge of him, which was the last place this guy needed to be because he had a lot of baggage with a father who didn't want him. His mother was overbearing. She was one of those that just always henpecked you all the time and belittled you and all that. And you don't do that to a really smart, tall guy. You build him up to become that football player or engineer. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to blame this one on the mother. And in the end, after he killed several co-ed girls because he was mad, his mother was in some kind of administration of a college there. And he was really mad that she showed them all her attention and ignored him. So he was taking his anger out. Finally, he killed his mother in a really despicable way. You can read up on what he did if you would like. I won't go into too many details, but it's horror movie level. And then he was I don't know if her good best friend happened to just stop by or if he called his mother's friend. I wasn't clear on that because there was two different interpretations of that moment. But she ended up being over there at the house and he killed her too before he left town. And then he drove to Colorado and decided just to turn himself in because he knew he was just going to continue killing. He just says, I can't keep this up. He was that smart. So they incarcerated him and he is just, I guess, a model prisoner. He just, as long as he's not around women, they trigger him. Not all women, but just a lot of them. Okay. So they just keep him in a men's prison. But here's the guy, Cameron Britton. Yes, this guy did a perfect impression of Kemper. It's a great series to watch on all of this. But yeah, he's a trippy guy, really trippy guy. He helped the FBI several times figure out patterns of serial killers and gave them, insightful ideas, let's put it that way, on how to find some people they were looking for. But yeah, that's the serial killers. And here's the thing. As I was looking all of this up, there are tons and tons of serial killers just in California. I haven't even touched Oregon, Washington State, the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? It is unbelievable. And that's why I guess I'm so intrigued because it's like something's going really sideways, I think, in our society. And, we need to start taking some hard looks at how we are raising the children, if that's the case, if we're creating this, or looking at, genetics, predispositions to these things, and figure out what we're going to do, because we can't continue on as a society with all of this, chaotic, cray-cray, the Purge. It's like watching the movie The Purge. How could a society withstand all of that? Not for very long, I don't think. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to really just double check and make sure I'm not missing anyone. I don't think I am. No, I'm not. I got everybody on my list tonight. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to come in with a live stream Wednesday or Thursday night, probably tomorrow night. All depends on my energy levels these days, people. Sometimes I've got it, sometimes I don't. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to come in with a live stream and just, puff and chit chat and all of that. So you take care and stay frosty.
never thought you'd lose, tossed along the way.